About 3 minutes to the top of the hour. This is the AM show, and I'm Benis Abubid. It's just about 12 days to end the year. What has the year been like for you? Well, we're crossing over now to Parliament. Roland Walker is with the Member of Parliament for the Odododiodoo constituency, Neelante Vanderpoy. What you're going to be doing is a review of the year, as well as talk about some personal matters. Hello, Roland.
Discussions. We know that it's been a year. It's been a year of great discussions, but a lot of activities taking place on the political and economic fronts, as well as the social-cultural lives of our country. It's also almost like 12 months, close, almost, we're just getting to 12 months of the Akufo-Addo-led administration office. But over the last couple of days, we've had the rape issues emanating from Bantama and Kumasi. And just yesterday, the Supreme Court ultimately gave, or the High Court gave ultimately the ultimatum to the Electoral Commission for ROPA, the People's Representation Amendment Act, now to be effected. Well, we'll see how that goes. But we have a regular on the show, and today we're live in his office, and Neelante Vanderpoy is a Member of Parliament for the Odododiodoo constituency, has been a former Sports Minister, Deputy Trade Minister, as well as a Minister for Local Government and Rural Development. But thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
And it's always a pleasure speaking to you. Today we're outside the studio, so at least in the comfort of your office. Yes, yes. It looks very...
Nice office, huh?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm happy I'm enjoying it. At least it's bigger than the office I used to occupy when I was Deputy Minister for Local Government.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't in that office. So, but at the end of the day, we know that it's been, well, a year in which your party lost the elections, and, well, it's also been a year in which we had the Nana-Addo-led administration, almost 12 months in office. It's been quite eventful, won't you say?
Yes, let me first say a big thank you to you and your crew and the management for deciding to come all over to my office for us to have today's chat. I thought I was coming to your studio as usual, but it's good. The change of environment has afforded all of us the opportunity to be a little bit more liberal. But let me also take the opportunity to wish all your viewers, especially my constituents, a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. I know this year's Christmas in the area has been termed Bonyan Kanale. But we pray that the Almighty God himself will shower his blessings and fulfill us so that next year we will not celebrate Christmas in such difficult and hard conditions.
What was that in?
Brilliant, can I mean rustic Christmas? Rustic Christmas. And
meaning what,
the churches, even the churches cannot afford decorations in front of a million. By this time you see all the lightings and all this around the churches, but the St. Mary's Church of all places could not afford to decorate their church. It tells you how difficult the country is under Nana-Addo. But it's good. I wish Nana-Addo a Merry Christmas. It's my very good uncle, a friend. And I wish I would have time, just some 5 minutes, to tell him how difficult he has made my Christmas this year and what I expect him to do better. It's been eventful. Let me say 1 or 2 things have happened in the country that calls for reflection. And it's not been all bad and it's not been all good. As a country, you should applaud the government when necessary, and you should condemn them when appropriately. I would say the bold initiative they took, for example, to go ahead with a free SHS program is good. In spite of the challenges, it's a good initiative. We all support it. We have started in a much more, let me say, friendly manner, progressively trying to make sure that we put the horse before the cart and not the cart before the horse. But they have turned it around. It's another way of achieving results, but the challenges are enormous, and I expect them to focus attention on the challenges that have bedeviled the system. But I will also say one of the major issues, and I'm happy he himself mentioned it at the Ordinary Congress in Kumasi, is about the insecurity in the system as a result of all these vigilante and terrorist groups that they've nurtured. And I want a word of advice to them. If you nurture a monster, it will devour you tomorrow. So all these groups that they've nurtured, the Invisible Forces, Zeta Forces, Kandahar Boys, Burma Camp Boys, elephant guys and all these boys. He said he's going to give them jobs. I want to know which sort of jobs he's going to give them. We'll be following them one by one. We want to make sure.
Fair, Honorable. Wouldn't you say that we haven't had a few of those incidents in the last couple of weeks or months?
Well, it's been muted. There has been clever attempt to mute them because they've been happening. Those things have happened in Kumasi. Even their last Congress, they virtually took away the work of the police and the security services, and there were some clashes between some of them and the security services. But now what they've tried to do is to mute them as much as possible. My intel is that they just did some atrocious act in the Upper West region, WA, for example, where they attacked ladies who were deemed to be prostitutes, beat them up and all those things. And the people involved in that act are alleged to be part of the Delta forces in that part of the country. And I think it is not it is not a right. You don't have that power and authority to beat someone up because the person is deemed to be a prostitute or something. You don't have that power. So Ghana has laws, and I believe that our laws should be allowed to work. Nobody should throw the law into his own hand. The invisible forces and Delta forces are not laws unto themselves. And I said they cannot decide on their own to enforce certain laws. So these are the things I think he should be looking at as we get into the new year. It is fundamental because these boys have shown impunity. They defied authority. They started with an attack from the presidency itself in front of the president's nose. They beat up a whole police officer. And I don't know why up to today the police administration have been quiet on this. The police, the integrity, the respect, the honor of the police was trampled upon by civilians. And the police administration up to today, I think it's an example set to us that anybody at all can remove the cap of a policeman and slap him and go away with it. That's what they want to tell us. But I believe seriously, after they've done that to the police, nobody talk about it. Now they decided to attack the judiciary. And they do not attack the judiciary on the street. Again, they went straight into the belly of the judiciary and attacked the judiciary in their own home. Again, they've gone scot-free with a pittance of a fine. Okay. And they themselves said even before the fine was imposed, they knew. They've been told already from the Flagstaff House what is going to happen to them. They were prepared for it because they are not going to pay. So
maybe they were just calling the bluff of their critics.
You see, well, but that is not a good sign for this country. Ghana is not a country where people could develop this level of impunity, trample upon the law, disrespect authority, and go away with it. We've been a very disciplined society. I'm not surprised that everybody now is doing what he wants to do in this country. We're becoming very lawless, and I think.
No, that really may not be true.
But you just introduced a case of young boys.
Well, we're just about talking about.
Yeah. So.
And this has been very topical over the last, I would say, 36 to over 48 hours. The incident, according to the police, might have happened on Saturday. We've had 3 of those young boys, one in senior high school. The arrest 2 of them in junior high school. If you watch the video, it's quite barbaric and very unimaginable for our country.
It's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's how low Ghana has sunk. That's how low we've sunk in terms of discipline, in terms of morality. Delinquents. We've all been in this country before. Roland, let me tell you, when I was growing up, as I see today, how I dress is even as a result of what my grandfather taught me, what my grandmother imparted into me. We had a social fabric that had knitted society in such a way that everybody is a child of another person. And as such, your parent, you are not only the product of your parent, you are a product of society and community. So every leader in the community has the right to bring you up to the dictates and within the realm and the perspectives of the community. Where Ghana has gotten to, when young boys sit down and they hear that people can just beat a policeman, they can just go and beat up a judge, free suspects, what do you think they are developing? What sort of examples are we setting for them? Look, these boys did not just only gang raped the girl. They videoed it. It means that they intentioned to do what was not allowed and almost impossible in this country. Boys who have this mind are not boys to me. They should immediately be taken to Abofra Boni, lashed, seriously lashed. You know, let me tell you a story about myself. When I was in primary school, I don't know but I didn't want the female to come anywhere close to me.
You? In primary?
Yeah. In primary 4, this lady decided to sit on my desk.
You're a very handsome man, so
I know, because at that time I was brought up. I was brought up to believe that if you want to be a good sportsman, you don't play with girls and all those things. So she sat on my desk and I told her to get up. She said she won't get up. Then out of anger, I slapped her. And do you know the punishment? My punishment was to clean the girls' toilet for 1 month. Every morning and every evening. All St. Anglican Primary School.
Which type? Was it the KVIP type?
Oh, those days, no, parlor trade. Those days. So you clean the box. I will pull the box out, clean it, make sure it's dry, and send it back. Wash the whole ground. And you know, those days when these parlor train carriers, when they come to pull it, the whole thing will spill there. I will clean everything for 1 month. From that day, I taught myself never to touch a woman. So even it's part of your training when you go. But today, some people are saying they are kids. They don't know what they were doing. Who said they don't know what they were doing? That they could force a girl, put her down, and one by one, they rape her. If it were my daughter, they won't leave.
But you're an MP.
I'll break their heads.
Well, you're speaking as a parent. So
yeah, I'm speaking as a parent. I will break their heads. So what?
Have laws in the country.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that certain things will not be encouraged. Somebody's daughter, they've destroyed a girl's life for the rest of her life. I don't know what the trauma this girl will go through. And you're talking about a country where our counseling system, our post-traumatic counseling and all those things are so lacking. I don't know how this girl is going to grow up. So
the video is already circulated, and social media has come to say.
Just yesterday, I saw people trying to deface the faces, but those that went viral earlier on had their faces, and it's the faces that led the police to arrest them. And look at SHS, JHS 3, 2 of them from JHS 3 and 1 SHS. What at all will come into your mind to conceptualize this, prepare for it, pick up a phone, make it ready on record mode, get this girl, push her to the ground? It is barbaric. But I'm saying that certain things, when they are happening in society, should give it a signal that society is degenerating. Our morals are going away, fading off. Our society, the things that hold us together as special people, Ghanaians, certain things that we do not follow.
Which are those? And you are saying they are indicators from the top?
Yes. Every fish, when it is spoils from the top, from the head. From the head. If morals and discipline are the top, it's not seen to be trickling down to the people. Everybody will go say. And I think that this should be a wake-up call to us. I know these things, even those days, really do happen. But whenever it happens, you hear that society takes... I remember very well when I was a young guy living in Abisim Sunyai. And one day we got a wind that a certain man had gone to attack a woman in the bush. The whole town was alarmed. And this man was actually paraded through the street to the chief's palace. And when he was actually put before the chief's council, and he was banished. He was banished. But you know, today, you have a Supreme Court that have taken away those powers, that's prosecutorial powers of the traditional authorities. So when these things happen within our local communities, the chiefs are unable to exert that authority to make sure they deal with the people within the community.
We're in a democratic dispensation.
What sort of democracy is
and
that?
per the tenets of the 1992 Constitution, for which you are well aware,
Yeah.
it grants people their right and freedom.
But the same constitution also gives...
And those civil liberties, really.
The same constitution also gives prominence to our customary and traditional regulations and rules, laws.
True.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that if those authorities were there, like these boys will be dealt with first within their small community, because they will go to the palace, the chiefs will deal with them, and then, look, the parents themselves, by this time, will be packing out of the community. So all those things are they are drifting away. They are going away from that center that keeps us together as unique people with common respect for our own laws and communities.
But somebody would say that perhaps your views...
I may be conservative.
Yes, you're conservative, but your views in this narrative really it smacks of some politics.
No.
It's very harsh on the structures of governance of the day, of security of the day, of the society and social welfare system.
Shouldn't we critically look at what is happening in our society?
Well, there are lots of things that influence things.
Why should we
The
look at...
anthropologists will tell you that society is dynamic, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. But why should we try to do politics with everything? I'm not talking political. Because I don't know the political background of the girl who was raped. And I don't know the political background of these boys, if they have any. I'm talking about the decadence, the dissolution of our moral fiber as a people. I'm talking about the dangers inherent in the tomorrow of my children and my grandchildren.
Consistently, you've been saying the last time you're on the show, you're talking about
that is the way I was brought up. I was brought up in a Presbyterian home. I was brought up in a Muslim enclave. My grandmother who brought me up was a stout and a devout Muslim. Then I had a Christian upbringing. So the two religions, and even my own community setup, the Lanteja way, in the gun machine where I come from, certain things are frowned upon. So I don't see any society. People say society is dynamic. So society is dynamic. So the things that make us different, that makes us have respect for one another, that makes us respect the privacy, the freedoms and of our colleagues should go away. Look, we have so much strength in our own communal and traditional and cultural regulations and laws that we do not even need foreign laws to let us know how to relate to one another. I told you last time when I was in the studio that when I was growing up in Abyssinian, people do not used to close their doors. People go to the farm, they harvest crops, they want to sell some. They put it in front of their houses and they are in the house. Nobody will touch it. Nobody will steal it. You could leave your phone in front of your door. Nobody will touch it. Because the belief in those times is that when you touch somebody's property, which is not yours, you could be dealt with.
It only happens in the Volta regional town of Boko these days.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Well, so many other places, societies and communities that still respect their own traditional customs and practices still frown on those things. It is not primitive. It is not atheist. It is not what people call these days idol worshipping. It is not. It's just respect for custom and tradition. And me, no matter how strong I may be as a Christian, I still respect what bonds us together as a people. I will not do the things that my fathers and my grandfathers told me it's not good to do.
Well, just yesterday we had, was it High Court?
Yeah, the High Court.
Give that ruling which conjoins or perhaps obligates the Electoral Commission to, in the next election, make sure it puts in place everything possible to implement ROPA. The law in itself says is the Representation of the People's Amendment Act. It enjoins the Electoral Commission to make sure those who are outside our borders what we call the diaspora, for which many of the times we know we're always speaking about those abroad in the West, etc., to be part of the voting process. What's your personal views on this?
I wish you have time. And I wish you give an opportunity to talk about this seriously. I just want to set a caution to the MPP and to Nanado.
It's a judicial system, really.
The MPP forced and passed ROPA in 2006 against all agitations. If they think that they can get ROPA to sustain them in power in 2020, they are joking. I want to serve a caution to them that those people who are at the presidency and those who are around the government who are recklessly and irresponsibly advising the president to pursue this path want to drag the country into chaos.
Why?
We will not allow the MPP to think that they can use ROPA to stay in power. If they know that they are losing...
Why are they using ROPA?
But the MPP know they are losing...
It's a judgment of the court. It's a ruling of the court.
It's a ruling of the court.
Yes.
Okay, we shall see. They should come to Parliament first for a constitutional instrument. They should bring it first to Parliament. And that they hear.
Well, they have the numbers.
You will see that's what I'm saying. They think that they have the numbers. 2006, they used their numbers to pass it. So they think they can use their numbers again to get it effected.
Well, they can.
Well, we shall see. I'm serving warning to them. Look, if they are living in the dream of these invisible forces, Delta forces, I want to tell them, one-on-one, they will not succeed. They will not last. We have men who are stronger, fearless, courageous, and bigger than those the invisible officers and Delta forces. We just decided to be quiet because we want peace. This democracy we are enjoying was the work of the NDC. And I said we will do everything to preserve it. But if the MPP want to pursue an agenda that will send us back, we shall help them to do it.
You sound visibly shaken.
I sound visibly disturbed.
You're worried that the NDC will lose because of ROPA in 2020?
If the MPP, they won elections without ROPA, they should let us go to 2020 without ROPA. And they will see their length.
Well, let's look at it.
They will see their smoothest level. I'm saying that they know that they know that in 32 constituencies, Jomama won, but we lost parliamentary seats. So if we correct the mistakes that make us lose the parliamentary seats, they know that they will be out of office in 2020. They know that between 2012 and 2016, Akufo-Addo only added 130,000 votes to his votes within 4 years. But we, because of apathy and according to his own diagnosis, internal party wranglings, we lost close to 900,000 of our votes. My constituency, I lost 15,000. So if we should do the things, if we should come together, we should forge unity, we should put away all these wranglings. Nanado himself know that he will be retiring in 2020. That's why they want to bring ROPA. They are joking. They are joking. I'm telling them, they are joking for the third time. Are they sure? They should tell us. They should first, before they should give us all the data of Ghanaians living in Azerbaijan.
It can be provided.
Afghanistan, Greenland, in autumn, Mars. They should give us all the data. In Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria. We want to see the data of all those people first.
You mean those in Africa first?
Yes.
Or only West Africa?
Even West Africa first. Before Africa. Before we even think about Europe. Because we have been talking about our region, ECOWAS, AU. Those are the most important things for us. We want to know every Ghanaian living everywhere. Eagle. We want to know every Ghanaian living everywhere first, before we come to know whether those who are even qualified to register. If they're able to provide us with all those data and we certify ourselves, we shall allow to go. Even United States.
You have fears. You have fears that
this country will degenerate.
The MPP has a stronger base and a lot of its following in the United States of America.
Where? Those people who are living illegally in the United States.
The continent of Europe.
Majority of the people in the United States are illegal immigrants.
Now,
and even as soon as they register, we will give their names.
You are worried.
We will give their names to the immigration authorities out there. to look for them because they're already illegal. Majority of them are illegal immigrants. We shall give all the names, the register to the immigration authorities there. If they are men. Look, we know this thing 6 months ago, and we prepared for it. We know when they were moving, where they were meeting to go to court and pursue this case, and the lawyers, what the lawyers have. We know. I just want them to know everything that happens in their bedroom, we know. We know. And we're prepared for it. We know the judgment that was coming. You see, they don't know. They don't know that. Look, and they are not strategic.
Why you people?
Do you know something? Do you know something? They decided to initiate a ROPA within their own Congress. You understand? The MPs decided to cut off ROPA within their party. Nanado went against it at the Congress, and they were forced to eliminate that clause. They wanted, because they know it's not practicable, so their own MPs did not want that to be part of their constitution. But those people outside who have been financing their party were insisting. So the president had no option but to plead the party to remove that clause of giving rights of holding office in their party to people with dual citizens.
But practically, how is it going to work?
It cannot work.
Why can't it work?
It can't work because up to today, Ghana as a country, we don't even have right statistics and data of the people living in Ghana.
What do you mean? We have the statistical service. That's
annually. How many times haven't you heard the MPP saying they don't believe in the statistics or the statistical service? Several times Dankwa Institute came up talking about poor statistics of the statistical service. They berated them severally.
We are going to have a national identification system that will be in place.
Please. The national identification system that was launched with fanfare, pomp and pageantry, but has not been able to issue one practical national ID card. Is that what you are talking about? I don't have doubt about the performance, the ability of the National Identification Authority to be able to produce cards. But that is not enough to ensure that the Ghanaian, the right person, votes. But let me ask you, why should somebody sit in China and decide who should be MP in Odododiodoo?
Well, not necessarily.
Perhaps who will be MP? But
our elections,
becomes the president?
Our elections say you vote for presidential and parliamentary. Why should some people be denied the right to vote parliamentary, but vote presidential?
Do you know that the criteria for voting in the two elections are different? And do you also know that it's really two elections we're holding on the same day?
Laws cannot be discriminatory. If you are saying all Ghanaians must vote, then all Ghanaians must be given the opportunity to choose their parliamentary candidate, the parliamentary MPs, and choose their president.
This is not the law saying that you should be resident in that area, in the constituency.
Thank you. So if the person is not resident in Ghana, why do you want the person to vote?
Well,
if the same law says the person must be resident.
For the MP, no, but for the president.
Is he resident in Ghana?
The law doesn't discriminate against
There's clause.
anybody.
Before you register as a voter, you must be resident in a particular constituency, locality. That's what the law says. The law does not say before. The law did not say before you vote for a parliamentary candidate, you must be resident there. It said before you register as a voter, you must be resident in a particular locality.
It can be changed.
Thank you. They should change it.
They have the men.
Okay. We also have the men out there on the streets.
The NDC seems to have been shaken by the ruling.
They will see something that is even stronger than the Rainbow Revolution.
What would they say?
I say
they have the numbers.
They
believe that they have a lot of supporters.
Where?
In America, they have a lot of supporters.
No force, no army,
in China,
no police can stop.
In Europe, and the United Kingdom
can stop the 4 million Ghanaians that voted for the NDC on the street. No army.
But why do you
can overrun it against this? I said, we will not occupy. We will not occupy Flagstaff House. In fact, we will occupy the bedroom of Nanado. If he attempts this.
All right. So
we are very serious about it. I'm serving this warning that this country cannot countenance this recklessness.
ROPA will be implemented.
Maybe in Azerbaijan, not in Ghana. We shall see. We shall see.
What do you mean by we shall see?
I'm saying, we say something. When I used to play football, there's a word we use, grand le coin. Do you know what it means?
What does it mean?
The ground will tell. If it's, they should try it. Not those days when I say that could pour hot water on us. They will see fiercest resistance ever in this world.
Okay, my time is up. We have to wrap up. And well, since Ropa has shaken you, we know that some of your colleagues, according to some little survey that was done, they don't come to the office very often.
Oh, there may be so many reasons.
Yeah,
most
you
of
have
the people,
occupied a ministerial position.
yeah, most of the people who were are people who are ministers and deputy ministers. So the work of a minister sometimes take you away, sometimes impromptu. So you are unable to write to seek permission from Parliament before you travel. Because I remember one day, I just got to the office and my minister was supposed to travel. When I was deputy minister for trade, Aaron Adrisu was supposed to travel to Geneva. Then just an hour before he traveled, he got a message that there was a death of one prominent imam in his constituency. So it means that he has to go to Tamale all of a sudden. So no option but for me to travel. In that situation, it will be difficult for you to come to Parliament, seek permission before you travel. So I will want to say that I don't think it is the intention of Esther Wusu, Matthew Poko Prempe and the rest to duly absent themselves from Parliament, but it's a work. And I think that we must look at that regime very well. It makes it difficult. Combining the work of Parliament and ministerial job is very difficult indeed. It's sometimes you don't even rest. So, and you see, we have two forms of attendance in Parliament. As soon as you report, you must go and sign at the mails room. And then sometimes you also marked in the chamber. They reconcile the two to make sure people don't just come and sign and go away. And sometimes you may forget one. If you forget one, it could pose a problem for you. Because if you forget to go and sign down there, and then you come into a chamber, and the person who takes attendance in the chamber is also unable to recognize you, you may have this. So various things could account for this. I will plead with their constituents not to hold it against them. I don't think it's deliberate. When I was deputy minister, I also fell into that category 13 times. I was marked absent, and people raised alarm about it. It even caused a problem for me in my constituency. MP vote in Parliament. That's the thing that the people against me. What it means is that the person you voted for doesn't go to Parliament. That was the campaign they were using against me. But they didn't know that it was a work. And then sometimes you also travel. When you travel, one or two things could happen. You intend to return on a day. You could miss your flight. Or the conference could extend beyond the days. Meanwhile, you've written to Parliament that you are returning this day, you'll be resuming the work this day. So if you don't come, and you are unable to send a message to extend your day, it's possible that you may fall. So various reasons may account for this, and I think it is unfortunate, but people should not hold it. It's a good survey though, and let me take the opportunity once again to say Merry Christmas to all Ghanaians, and to Nanado and the MPP government. Merry Christmas to them. All the kebab that they chewed at their extraordinary Congress, I wish they could have left some for some of us. At least the crumbs for their table could be good for Ghanaians this Christmas, because I know close to 70% of Ghanaians are struggling, where they will be able to get a cup of rice and a spoon of oil to even cook angwamo for their Christmas. Even I'm sure that people will be unable to go to church to say thanks to God, because people cannot buy for. Just yesterday you heard that there has been increase in price of LPG and the rest. How are Ghanaians going to cook for Christmas? Already we are having problem with electricity. 1 year, problems are factual.
And we have to wrap up.
This year, 1 year, ECG problem, gas problem, petrol problem.
And we have to wrap up.
More problem, invisible forces, delta forces. Oh,
the Odododiodoo constituency.
It's too much.
It's been a nice discussion from his office, and we hope that we can
2017.
We can do another one with an MPP MP in his office as well. And we'll do that. We'll do a review and look at the latest.
I hope you'll be going to my friend Ajako tomorrow.
Well, definitely. We'll see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
Ketsi, our lead producer, Derek Ekosam.
He's asking me to Merry Christmas to Ajako. Tell him that I've still not be able to provide the names of those people around the president.
You see,
But the 4 heads of states who came, what did they come to do?
Well, the Estonian and
the Estonian, the German, and all that. They are all the Italian. They are all known LGBTs.
Yeah, controversial.
So they came to actually accentuate the interview of Nanado on Al Jazeera. That they will be giving rights to the lesbians, gays in this country.
He's in there with a lot more.
All these 4 heads of state who came, they are known international LGBTs. Think about it, it's going to be an election.
Very interesting conversation there Roland Walker is having with Nilanti van der Poy, MP for the Odododiodoo constituency. Very interesting. I hope you've been following. They spoke a bit about RUPA and also about basically the year in review governance issues, spoke about the alleged gang rape video, and then they just wrapped it off there as you heard. But a group, Arocha Ghana, is calling on government and other stakeholders to turn the Etiwa forest into a national park, just like Kakum and Mole, because the forest has what it takes to rake in some money for the country. We'll be talking to Daryl Bosu. He's the Deputy National Director for Arocha Ghana. You don't want to miss this. We'll be back in a jiffy.